This is the Auto Insider with Daryl, Killian on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
Call us at 404-892-2703 on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
Does that music put a little extra pep in your step? That's Staying Alive by the Bee Gees. They could tell. Yeah. What? Well, that ain't one of my songs, but my guest today this morning just gave us, I wish I would have video here so you could see her do her strut across the studio when she talked about that song. But, we played it because it talks about the way that you walk into the dealership, the way that you handle yourself, the way you carry yourself when you go into the dealership. I'm going to tell you, we're going to talk about today how that's going to translate into a good deal, good interest rate, good payments, and a good price on a car. And we're going to talk about it not from my perspective, but from the perspective of my guest. She's a North Carolina native. She has been writing for a few years now about the automotive experience. She has an IT background, software quality assurance background. So this lady is not only beautiful as her website says, Speed Beautiful, but she's also smart and insightful. And she's going to bring us a lot of good information from her perspective, the female perspective in general, and from the car buyer perspective. And hopefully I will be able to get a little bit of debate out of her as we go through this next hour of the show. So get yourself together, get your pens ready, write this down. Call us, 404-892-2703. My guest this morning, Kimberly Lachelle from SpeedBeautiful.com. Kimberly, good morning. Thank you for joining us on Auto Insider.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you. I've been inviting you on the show since the summertime, and you told me you could come in November. And I must tell you, people, if I can't tell you anything else, she's a woman of her word, because she told me back in the summer that she would come on in November. And it's the last show in November, but she made it. Thank you very much.
I did. Thank you. We appreciate you having us on. Speed Beautiful will probably be forever indebted to your invitation. We appreciate it.
Well, you give good information. I have been looking over your website. I follow you on Instagram.
Thank
and
you.
I see what you do.
And we follow you too.
So I want to make sure that all of my listeners know what you do and how to get some other information from a perspective other than mine, because I want them to be very well versed from a lot of different places. So before we get into you and what you do, we got a caller who's already called. We got a lady called in, Maxine. Maxine, good morning. You're on with the Auto Insider and Kimberly Lachelle from Speed Beautiful. Good morning.
Good morning to both of you.
Good morning,
thank you for
Maxine.
taking my call. Good morning, and thank you for taking my call.
Thank you for calling. What can we help you with this morning, Maxine?
Yes, I'm calling about the Hummer.
The Hummer.
Yes.
All right.
Wow.
Now, I like the smaller Hummers, not the real big ones.
H2.
Okay.
Right, the smaller ones. But I went online to look, to see what I could find, and I noticed there are a lot of them that are on sale. But I think I saw a lot of them that were like 2009.
Well, and Maxine, probably because Hummer is no longer in business. So you cannot buy a brand new Hummer any longer.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So what happened is when the economy started collapsing and fuel prices went through the roof and gas started going $4 a gallon, the Hummers aren't very fuel efficient. So that didn't make it through the auto downturn. However, there are still pre-owns out there, and you're talking about an H2. So you would have to look at a pre-owned, which is not a bad way to go, because you probably can find a really good price on a pre-owned H2. What do you think about the Hummer, Kimberly?
Well,
tell me the truth now.
I think you have to first gauge how emotionally you are attached to the car and move from there. If you just dream about it and you just want it, you just got a promotion, or you think you just deserve it, then I say go for it, but do it in a smart way. So you want to understand what your miles per gallon are going to be and realistically how much you're driving. A lot of things that we don't take into account as women is what happens after the car is sold, the cost of ownership. So oftentimes the cost of ownership in a car that has been discontinued is a lot different than a used car that is still in production. So what you want to do is do a lot of research on your cost of ownership, which will include your gas as well as service. So just be mindful mindful when you're looking at a car like Daryl said that is out of production. You could run into issues with replacing some of the parts. Your long-term commitment to this car could really, really affect your financial picture simply because it's out of production. So I am a big supporter of people having what they want, as long as you do it. There's a way. My mom always said there's a way to do everything. You can get the car that you want. You just need to go about it smartly and detach yourself from your emotions.
So have we helped you any, or have we made this we've made it as clear as mud?
You have helped me to make up my mind, because if they're they're not making them anymore, then I would have a problem with maintenance if, I need to get them fixed. Everybody wouldn't work on those, would they?
Well, General Motors dealerships still do, they still work on them. So you could still have them maintained. However, they're not as excited about working on them. Parts are going to probably be a little more difficult to find.
Yeah.
So yes, it takes it from just a simple, I got a car in the everyday normal routine of owning a car, and it makes it a little more specific. Now, if you're a car buff and you just love cars and you just got to have it, then you go at it. So now I'll tell you this is no endorsement, by me of a brand, but I will tell you this. If you like the smaller Hummer, the new Jeeps, the Jeep Wranglers, the Jeep Wrangler 4-doors would be a good alternative. It looks a lot like it. It's got that real rugged look to it. It's got great off-road manners, and they're hot though. It's a hot vehicle, which means a lot of people are buying them. It's very rare to get a discount on a Jeep Wrangler, but it'll be a great alternative to the Hummer if you want to have something like that.
I agree, and they hold their value very well. They have a strong following. And the customizations that I've seen on those Jeeps, especially for women, customizations are, that's what we like, both with our clothes and our cars.
Jeeps they have like a cult-like following almost.
Yes.
So that would be a great, I was talking earlier in the 10 o'clock hour about a friend of mine who bought a car. She wanted to pay cash. I talked her out of it. She went to her investment account, and that she's making a lot of interest on, and that's the car that she bought. She bought a Jeep Wrangler and put the Mickey Thompson big tires, off-road tires on it, and she loves that Jeep. So I would suggest looking at that Jeep Wrangler if you are a Hummer fan.
I agree.
Well, I sure do appreciate that. I knew that one of the dealerships down in Union City had closed up a few years ago, but I thought that maybe, they weren't making any money, and that's why. But I didn't know they had stopped making them. Yeah,
they stopped making them. So, that's a great car. And you know what? And if you don't study cars and you don't follow the car industry, you wouldn't know. That's why you ought to be following Speed Beautiful. So if you have access to the internet, I want you to make sure you follow Speed Beautiful. Go to her website, speedbeautiful.com, and keep up with her. She always have a woman's perspective. And always go to WAOK.com and click on the AutoNSider, and I'll have my insight into the car that I drive as well. So you can get a first-hand view of what we think about those cars.
All right. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Maxine. Thank you for calling. Hey, guys, you got questions? Call us 44892-2703. If you can't make up your mind, we'll help you in that process here. And I told you we have a special guest in the studio with us this morning, Kimberly Lachelle, and she's with Speed Beautiful. Kimberly, tell us a couple minutes here before the break, how did you start writing about the auto industry?
Well, I've always enjoyed writing, and I've always enjoyed cars, and I've always been in a situation where I needed a car. And so those three situations kind of came together for an opportunity for me to begin to talk about my experience looking for a car. Okay. And that's essentially how it began. I said, okay, so I'm a mother. At that point in time, I was a mother of one, and I was pregnant with another child, and I just didn't want to pick up the kids and go to from dealership to dealership to dealership. And I thought, well, if I kind of journaled, I was thinking at the moment journaling, not a full-fledged website. Okay. If I journaled my experience and shared it with other people, how could it help other people? It would probably help me. That's what I was looking for. Okay. And so it was birthed out of the necessity of me finding my own vehicle. And so I started from there, and here I am with a website. We do have a blog component that you mentioned, but it's primarily a website. We're like the female's version of the other websites that are out there. We kind of want to help you direct your and guide your car buying experience.
And that's important because according to your press release, you have a statistic on here that 75% of women feel misunderstood by car makers.
Yes.
Women buy 52% of all new cars sold in the U.S.
Yes.
And they influence more than 85% of all car purchases.
Yes, and that 85% of car purchases is $80 million.
$80 million. And
80 billion.
80
my bad.
$80 billion.
Yes.
Driven by women.
Yes.
And you're going to tell us about all the no's, everything they need to know. 5 no's in the auto buying process.
Absolutely.
When we come back from the break, guys, we got a special guest in the studio, Kimberly Lachelle with SpeedBeautiful.com. You're listening to the Auto Insider on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
Call us at 404-892-2703 on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
This is the Auto Insider with Daryl Killian on News and Talk 1380 WAOK. One call away. Call the Auto Insider at 404-892-2703. This is the Auto Insider on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
All right, we're back. This is the Auto Insider on News and Talk 1380 WAOK. And anybody just tuning in, I told you we got special guests in the studio. Kimberly Lachelle from SpeedBeautiful.com. It is a website dedicated and devoted to writing and blogging and sharing information about the female experience in the auto buying and owning process. And I'm going to let Kimberly tell us a little bit more about SpeedBeautiful.com. Before I do that, Kimberly, we got Sharon who calling in from Maryland. So I want to get Sharon on. And Sharon, good morning. You're on with the Auto Insider on News and Talk 1380. And special guest, Kimberly Lachelle from Speed
Hi,
Beautiful.
Sharon.
Hi, Kimberly Lachelle. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you? Thanks for calling in.
Yes, I just have a question. I have a 2005 Range Rover that constantly is giving me trouble. And just wondering, should I continue investing in the repair or should I just let it go?
Whew, that is a sticky topic. Range Rover and service repair. So tell me, what is your relationship like with your service repair house? Are you going to the dealership? Do you have someone you trust? What's that like?
Well, now I have someone that I trust. I'm in Maryland. The car is in North Carolina in a repair shop currently. I love my Range Rover, so I just don't know if I need to continue investing. I used to go to the dealer, but now I have found someone else who can work on it.
How old is your Range Rover? What year is it?
2005.
Okay. I feel like we need to play some funeral music.
Oh my God, no!
The fact is, it's not going to get any better.
Okay.
And so you have to make that decision yourself. You have to. It's not going to get cheaper, and it's not going to get better with that particular car. Those cars are expensive. They're machines, essentially.
Right.
After a certain amount of time, after a certain amount of time, it's going to get painstakingly expensive. But it's not going to get better. You're not. Without getting a new car or getting a lease, maybe you could lease another Range Rover until you decided which model. The Evoque is wonderful. But I think that's a personal decision that you have to make the call on. But I will say it's not going to get any better, more than likely.
And Sharon,
Okay. Well,
and Sharon, if I can interject a little bit, Sharon, the other thing about it, and Kimberly is being very PC on this thing.
I am. I don't want Range Rover calling me. And I want to drive some of their cars for Speed Beautiful.
So here's the thing. A whole is made up of parts. And so as expensive as it is, that lets you know that the parts to maintain it are really expensive.
Right.
That is one of those vehicles, like many, the British vehicles, like many of the German models, people have always bragged about how long they last and how durable they are. It's because those cars require a great deal of maintenance along the way.
Right.
If you spend all the bucks all through, throughout the ownership process, typically those cars run pretty well for a good period of time. However, when you're talking about a car, the age of that car now, the parts, what you're going to outlay on that vehicle to keep it running exceeds what that vehicle is worth. Now, I'd say you've gotten your money's worth out of it at this point, I would say. And if you're not in a negative equity situation, meaning you don't owe more than it's worth, I would say you get yourself out of that and go ahead and stop throwing good money after bad and then move yourself into something else. Like once you've driven a Range Rover, it's hard to drive into.
It is.
right, it is. And it's paid for, so, I'm not making payments on it.
Well,
Okay,
that's what makes it so hard. But I think Daryl and I are on the same page. It's not going to get any better. You probably need to cut and run sometime soon within the next 24 months.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Kimberly, that's a hard one because we do have to be objective. But at the same time, there are, I don't want to ever like take any one brand and then make any blanket statement about the brand, because I know some owners of vehicles that I didn't necessarily have the best experience with, the people who swear by them and they love them and they're repeat buyers and that's their thing. So, it's personal.
Right.
And I've been talking about, especially from the female perspective, taking things personally. And, I let my chauvinistic side come out sometime and talk about, hey, the emotions and taking that in the dealership with you. We played a song that you suggested, that BG's,
yes,
and you
Staying Alive.
Staying Alive give you a pep in your step. When you hear that, you feel a little bit different.
It does.
So before we get all into why you did that, tell us a little bit about Speed Beautiful so these people can know what it is you're bringing, to their research process and what they can find when they go to Speed Beautiful.
Speed Beautiful, and thank you. Speed Beautiful is a website that is for women by women. Our site is a reflection of today's woman, sophisticated yet approachable.
Okay.
We embody kind of like a dichotomy of roles and thoughts. And we reflect that at Speed Beautiful. So we have car reviews, and then we have a part of our site called Fame, fashion, accessories, mommy stuff, and events, where we share where we go and what we do. And that's the blogging portion. So we have about 7 journalists. All of us write about cars, and we go from mommies to one of our journalists is pregnant with twins. Then we have a journalist that has advanced degrees in writing. We cover all perspectives of women, and we all drive these cars and tell you the real.
About the experience.
Does it fit 3 car seats? Am I going to be embarrassed when I valet park it?
And I see the phone ringing because I know you guys want to know. Or, here's the other thing, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago on the show. We talked about buying hybrids and electrics versus buying luxury cars. And in the African American community, the consensus that we got on my show, the unofficial poll that we did, is people are more concerned about how they look, and is the car going to be valet parked up front?
Yes.
And some people, that's important to them.
Yes.
I want my car parked in the front.
And it's funny that you mention that, because 51% of women under 30 years old drive a leased luxury vehicle.
A leased
Yes.
luxury vehicle.
Yeah.
So that's over half of them. So I get this whole thing, and my producer Simone asked me this question, which brought this whole series of shows. She told me that she felt like she got treated differently when she goes to the dealership. She didn't feel respected. She didn't feel like that they took her, seriously when she went in. If women are buying these many, if they're responsible for 51% of the leased luxury vehicles, is that true? Are they being respected? Where do you find?
Okay, so this is what I found, which is so random and weird. While we buy we've leased 51% of leased vehicles. We buy 60% of new vehicles and 53% of used vehicles. We still feel misunderstood. 75% of us still feel misunderstood, although we have the buying power and we should have the bargaining power. Yet, we also feel confident, which is strange. How can you feel misunderstood yet confident?
Yeah, that's...
So what that tells me is that I was kind of looking through some things, and I was trying to figure out how those two ideas can coexist.
Okay.
And what that tells me is that something I read said that overconfidence precedes carelessness. And I think we have to be confident in everything that we do, even when we're not sure. We are single mothers and we're married mothers and we're manning the house and going to the workplace. And even those of us that are stay-at-home moms, we have to be a jack of all trades and we have to put on a strong front. But the problem is the people at the dealership know that it's a front. We feel confident going in, yet we still feel misunderstood. And that is a ripe environment and a ripe scenario for us to be taken advantage of.
And that goes with my philosophy of knowledge is power. So even though and this is a male perspective, my thing is, whether you go in feeling like and looking like you know what's going on, if in fact you actually know, one thing about knowledge, they can't take it from you.
Right.
So if you go in, if you got an idea what the dealership is paid for the car. So if you have an idea what invoice is before all these rebates, if you've seen where rebates are out there, if you know what your credit standing is, what your credit score is, and how that translates into interest rates, and if you have an idea of what this vehicle you're looking for has sold in your area, you have power, and there's no need to walk in there with that staying alive.
Well, you're almost spot on in my opinion.
Okay.
Knowledge is power, except that knowledge is no match for emotion.
See, and I didn't say it. I didn't.
It's the truth.
It's no match for emotion.
Knowledge is no match for emotion.
So what happens when? So and I know my wife says that because she argued me down when I got home last week when I said this. She said because of my love of automobile and because I'm so passionate about cars. She said you're the most emotional person I know when you fall in love when you go in the dealership. But I've never let that take over when it came time to negotiate.
Right. You can love them and leave them.
I can love them and leave them because I'm a man. That's what we do.
Right. We can't. We can't. And I'm not making any strange parallels, but that's the truth when it comes to cars. We have our minds set on it could be a million cars, that same color and that same trim. We've just decided we're going to pick that car up from that parking space at that dealership. And that's just the way it's going to be. You know,
my sister-in-law told me yesterday, she drives a Volkswagen Passat. She was at the dealership getting her oil changed. The salesperson told her, the whole little thing, hey, if I can get you a new car, keep your payments where they are, would you buy a new car? Because she knew me, she knew she wasn't going to buy a car. She went along with it. So she went out to do the test drive and the whole nine. He couldn't, of course he couldn't do it, but it's the whole little piece she went through. But the thing that caught me most, and it surprised me most about her interaction with him, was that she told me that she didn't like the interior color. It was a beige interior color, and the dashboard was black, and she didn't like the way that looked.
Yes.
And then she said that then I noticed a couple of days later, I looked at my car, my interior is beige, and I got a black dashboard. I didn't even know it. So her emotions, she decided she didn't like that. She didn't realize that's what she owned. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about what you know, what you don't know. And you said you got 5 no's?
I have 5 no's.
We're going to talk about when we come back from the break. Hey, guys, we got Kimberly Lachelle from Speed Beautiful in the studio on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
This is the Auto Insider with Daryl Killian on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
Call us at 404-892-2703 on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
And now, back to the Auto Insider with Daryl Killian on News and Talk 1380 WAOK. Call now to speak with Daryl on anything automotive at 404-892-2703. News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
All right, and we're back. The Auto Insider here on News and Talk 1380 WAOK, and I'm your host, Daryl Killian. And we have a special guest in the studio with us today, Kimberly Lachelle from SpeedBeautiful.com. Thanks again for being here, Kimberly.
Oh, the pleasure's all ours.
All right, now, we got some things we got to get into these no's, but let me hear what Henry from Atlanta has to say before we get there. Henry, good morning. Thank you for calling the Auto Insider.
Okay, good morning. I can't hear you.
Okay, turn your radio down, but I can hear you. You can go ahead. We can hear you well.
I'm on the speakerphone, so let me call you back, sir.
Okay. All right, we'll get Henry back in a minute. He covered from his cell phone now. We got to get to these no's because we only got like 25 minutes. Make sure we get to these no's. Tell me what these 5 no's are. Let's list them first.
Okay. So I have 5 no's. Know yourself, know your friends, know your numbers, know your needs, and know the product.
All righty. Now, it says self, friends, numbers, needs, and product.
Yes.
What do you mean know yourself?
So, okay. I know personally, I know myself. I should know myself.
Right.
Right. I know that I love black on black. Ooh, on a car. There's nothing like black on black.
And see, my wife loves white cars.
Mm-hmm. So if I go to a dealership looking for a car and I happen to run into, say, an A7 that's black on black with some nice shoes, or S7, and shoes is another word to say rims. Okay, so
she ain't talking about the red bottom. She's talking about the rubber on to meet the road.
Yes, I know that is going to trigger something in my emotions. And I might just kind of like glaze over and salivate and just become fixated on that car. I know myself. I know that if I talk too long to someone about that particular car, there's a break point in which I'm going to want to test drive. I know that if I test drive it, I might fall more in love with it. So knowing who you are and avoiding those points, those breaking points where they can just break you down and make you buy, avoid those. And don't be delusional about those when you're looking for a car. Go to multiple dealerships. that is not the only car that they made that looks like that. I would bid other salespeople against other salespeople and get a printout and go somewhere else. Everyone wants to sell a car. Everyone wants to make money, and I will make them wait and work for my money. Don't get emotional about it. Walk away and do your research.
So
know yourself.
So that first know is you got to know yourself. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, I think we got Henry back. Before we get to the other one, know your friends, let's see what Henry talking. Okay. Henry, we got you back. You back there with it now?
Hi, Henry.
Right, we here. Thank you. There's a question there. Years ago, it was, I don't know whether the lady was an astronaut or she was dating or talking to an astronaut, but she drove throughout the country.
Oh, yeah.
They were saying she had a diaper.
Uh-huh.
So the question is, what, as it relates to being caught out in traffic and for hours and hours and hours, is there any type of technology or way you can build a car that accommodate, you're using the restroom while you, right? And if it is, I'm trying to get some royalty on that too, man.
All right, Henry. Well, I appreciate that. Well, you know what? Right now, Henry, I don't know if the only thing that I know of is called RV, those recreational vehicles. So you can buy you a Prevost bus or one of these recreational vehicles, and maybe y'all could switch drivers. But
that sounds like a plan.
Hey, man. Call me after the show. Maybe we'll work on that, and we'll put this thing together, and we can get it out there.
We'll get a patent and everything.
Clear.
Bye, Henry.
Appreciate you.
All right. Thanks a lot, Henry. Boy, I tell you what. Now, that's a first.
Your listeners. Wow.
But, maybe you and I need to work together.
Diverse.
Hey, maybe we need to work on something. Maybe we can come up with something. He's talking about, anybody who listens know he's talking about. It was a lady who was dating an astronaut a couple of years ago, and it was a jealous rage, and she drove cross country to approach his other love interest.
Right.
And this lady wore a Depends diaper and drove cross country.
Right, because that's sexy.
Yeah, that's, boy. How could he turn her down? That's knowing yourself. Then you got to know your friends. If you got any one of those friends.
Yes.
That goes to know your friends.
Yeah, that's my second point. Know your friends. The most important sub point under this is the dealership and the salesperson is not your friend. Okay. Know your friends, and they're not one of them. They're not your friend. I don't care what they say, what type of common connection. It doesn't mean that you don't treat them kindly. It doesn't mean that you're not assertive, but it also means that you're not going there to make friends. You're going there to make a business investment that makes sense and works and functions for your life.
And that's interesting because I have shared, and I like that perspective. I've shared a little different insight. For me, my things were always, and I guess I didn't use the word friend. Now, in my mind, I thought about it, and it may have gone across the wrong way because I always said it's a relationship. You're building a relationship with this person, and you want it to be a trusting relationship.
Right.
You want to go in, being honest and not too honest, not transparent, but just honest and go through this negotiating process. And people may have taken that as me saying you need to be friends with the dealership.
Right.
So that's a great point you bring up.
Right. And I would say that honesty is great. It's the basis of great relationships, but it's not necessary when it comes to me buying a car. Wow. I need to describe to you what I need and what I want as far as price goes. You don't need to know the details and the nitty gritty of my personal life, but I do need to be personable. And some people don't know how to do that. You can be kind and be cool with somebody without giving them intel and information and insight on their life that they could then use against you. Because I believe that the salesperson they don't believe in being completely honest. If they did, they wouldn't be taking advantage of me. If they did, women would not pay more for cars. Up to 100% more we pay than men, and we buy more. That's not fair. That's not honest. And so I would say, women, be real, be factual, and just keep it business. But be kind, and people love kind people.
Woo,
need to know. Tell them only need to know information.
Let me tell you something. That was some insight right there, because I have always said this is a relationship. You need to build a relationship with the people, and I'm sure that could have been misconstrued as make friends.
Right.
But I like your perspective. It's like, no, we're not friends.
Right.
I'm here to buy a car. Now we can get along.
Yes.
And I'll come back and buy another car.
Yes, and I want some of your free coffee, and I want a lot of those chocolate chip cookies and some to take home to my kids too.
And I'll refer my real friends over here if you're taking care of me.
Absolutely.
But we're not friends.
No. You're not coming to Thanksgiving dinner.
So know yourself, know your friends. Next thing is know your number.
Know your numbers. Okay. It's not a secret that a lot of us walk around not knowing our credit scores.
Oh man, I get people come out of town, call me, don't know that, have no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, and we have so many services out here where you can get your credit score for free.
Yep.
But in a weird way, it's like hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil. So if we don't get it, they'll pull it at the dealership. Why would you want someone telling you your personal business? You need to know. You need to be bold enough to get the information yourself and know what you're walking into. Don't put yourself in a bad position with someone pulling your personal business and you not being aware of it. You should know your numbers. You should know what you can afford before someone tells you what you can afford. Oh, no. You can do $400. Well, you just decided in your mind that you wanted $350. Or worse, you haven't even decided. You're just going based upon how much money you have left over after you spend all your money on rent and mortgage.
So you
know your numbers.
All these smart, educated, employed women.
Yes.
Because the women they're brilliant. I tell people all the time, but you find a smart man. I think you need married. They got a smart woman around there pushing them.
Right.
So you tell me these smart women are going in here and they don't know that?
Yes, and it's not that we're not smart. It's just that we're like, okay, I pay my credit card bill on time. I pay my rent on time. Nobody's looking for me. I'm not getting phone calls. It's like it's one more thing we have to do on top of taking care of kids and making dinner and going to PTA. Now we got to pull a credit score, and it's easy for us to think, and nothing's going on. Nobody's looking for me. I pay my bills on time. I should be fine when I go to the dealership. I get cars any other time. But you want to know exactly what that number is before you get in there so that you can use that as leverage, either negatively or positively.
So you want to know. So not only do you want to know what your number is, you want to know what that number means and how that number translates into monthly car payment.
That's right. That's right. Even if you have a horrible credit score, you want to go in knowing that. You don't want anybody to guilt trip you in there. You want to say, yeah, I know my credit score is crap, and this is what I want, and I know I can get it based upon the research I've done. It works both ways, in the good way and negatively.
Man, I tell you what, we got a call, and I'm going to go to a break. So, Russell, you stay there, and I'm going to get you after the break because this is some good information. Okay, so now we know your numbers, and I talk about that, Kim. I'm glad you brought that up. I tell people knowing your number means a 3-digit number is what you are measured and judged by. That number then translates into interest rates.
That's right.
Interest rates then translate into how much you're going to pay every month for this car that you're buying. And before you hit the door, you need to know how all those numbers relate.
You do.
And you need to know what yours is and what that's going to mean when it's time for you to sign that piece of paper. Hey, guys, when we come back, we're talking about the no's in the auto buying process from a female perspective. But guys,
girl power.
You need to know too. Hey guys, we got Kimberly Lachelle from Speed Beautiful. This is the Auto Insider on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
Call us at 404-892-2703 on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
This is the Auto Insider with Daryl Killian on News and Talk 1380 WAOK. Got a question for the Auto Insider? Call Daryl at 404-892-2703. This is the Auto Insider on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
All right, we're back. It's the Auto Insider on News and Talk 1380 WAOK. We get to the end of the show. We got our special guest in here, Kimberly Lachelle from SpeedBeautiful.com. We've been getting her perspective, the female perspective on this whole auto owning and buying process.
Yes.
And we've gotten through 3 of the 5 no's. The first one was know yourself. Then it was know your friends, know your numbers. We got 2 more coming. Before we get to those last 2, let's get these 2 calls. We got Russell holding on line 1. Good morning, Russell. Thanks for calling the Auto Insider.
Russell.
Hey, how you doing today?
All right, turn your music down for me, Russell. We're doing good.
Yes, I ain't got the music on.
Okay. Well, you got the radio on? Turn the radio down for me.
No, I don't have the radio.
Okay, well, go ahead. What you got for me?
Yes, I'm glad you had the video on the show and everything. Again, I'm having problems with the getting approved and everything. Some of these car dealerships, and I was going to go to this one buy here, pay here location. Do you have any suggestions for your guest? Has any suggestions of any good buy here, pay here places?
Kimberly, you got any? I told him last week he needed to just wait, but what do you think, Kimberly?
Well, you're only going to one buy here, pay here place. Is that correct?
Yeah, my credit score is like 559, and I've got like 3 rejection letters and everything. I still go to so many dealerships.
Okay.
But
do you is your I don't, to answer your question straightforwardly, I don't have any recommendations for buy here, pay here lots. And you just want a car, or you need a car, or everybody?
I'm looking for a truck, a smaller truck.
Yeah, I think you could wait. You should probably wait and just bring up your score. I mean, time and a little work on your part can increase your score, and you'll be in a better position. If you can't get it, it might be a sign that you can't get it. So you probably should.
Basically, I live with a family member right now, and the only bills I really pay has been pretty much like, for food and like a phone bill. For a cell phone bill, I pay, consistently once a month, but I really haven't, last 7-8 years, I haven't really used a major unsecured credit card. I just use debit cards.
Right. It sounds like you're in an excellent position to do what Daryl said. Save your money, wait. You could probably get a secured card. We're not here for credit, but this is a random advice. You could probably get a secured card at your local bank and use that for a few months or a few years, and you'll be in a better position.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Russell.
All right. Thank you, Daryl.
All righty. Sometimes if you got bad credit, guys, if your credit scores are low, sometimes you do yourself a favor by waiting, because then you'll pay for that car 2 or 3 times with the 20% interest rate. If you just got to have it, there are plenty of buy here, pay here's. They will put a little chip on your car, and if you don't make the notes, they'll cut it off. So they'll make sure you don't get late, you don't get behind on those payments.
Right.
You want to get back on your feet, miss 2 or 3 of those payments, and they'll come pick it up. Hey, we got Charles holding on line 3. Let's get to Charles. Good morning, Charles. Thanks for calling the Auto Insider.
Good morning, Charles.
Good morning to both of y'all.
Thank you very much. How can we help you this morning?
Well, I got 2 questions. I have an old Mercedes, a 93 300E, and I was debating whether to donate it or either to try to sell it through, say, something like Auto Trader. And I don't know what organization that's a good place to donate it. They advertise, certain ones and so forth, but I don't know whether that's, it's a good organization. And the other question I have is on, first of all, I got a credit score of 837, and so I want to buy either a used luxury car or a new. And I was thinking about a Lexus, Infiniti, or Acura for as a used luxury, and Honda, Volkswagen for a new one. But anyway, my question is, should I try to go through Sam's Club or Costco or through the credit union in order to get a good interest rate and a discount, versus trying to negotiate the deal on my own?
You want to take that first, and I'll follow up behind you, Kimberly?
Sure. Okay, so maybe because I'm a country girl, I was always taught, go to the credit union first. And Daryl will follow up with some more, I guess, shiny particulars on the car world. But I do kind of talk in common sense terms. And based upon my experience, a credit union is always a great way to go. They have reasonable interest rates, and they're not trying to make a killing off of every person that gets a loan that walks in. So that would be the first thing I do, is I would go to the credit union and find out how much I can be approved for. And with your credit score, I'm sure you could probably buy a Bugatti. But I'm joking.
You know what? And I would agree with that. I always say go to the credit union first and see what they can do. You go there and see the best rate you get. It gives you 2 things. One, it lets you know. It gives you an idea what you're going to be paying monthly, because once you get approved for a loan for a certain amount of money,
right,
the credit union will then let you know what that monthly payment will be if you borrow that amount of money. So then you know what I'm looking at, how much car I'm going to buy for that amount of money. Second thing it does is it gives you another point of negotiation when you hit the dealership.
Yes.
Because now you can negotiate with the dealership on interest rates and financing, because you have a starting point and you're negotiating from a position of knowledge. You know for a fact that you're approved for this much money at this interest rate. So now their only option is to beat it, or you'll bring them back a check, 1 or 2. So it gives you a good place to negotiate from.
Right.
As far as your car, you got a 93 300E. Sure, it's a beautiful car. I'm sure it's a car that it means it's more valuable to you than anybody pretty much out here looking for a car. So I would say to you, you'll probably do yourself a lot of good, and it would be a nice tax deduction if you were to donate to something like Heritage for the Blind or the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And those deductions, I'm looking online, are tax deductible. So you can include them when you file your taxes, and you can deduct the value of the car on your taxes it's a taxable contribution. So I would donate to one of those, Heritage for the Blind or a Make-A-Wish Foundation, and you'll make a difference, and you'll have a tax deduction.
Okay. The one thing that I didn't, maybe I think I may have said it, but you didn't answer was, for the discount, a lot of times, you try to get a discount by going in and haggling over the price and everything. But sometimes when you buy through like Sam's Club or Costco,
yes, it's a pre-negotiated discount that they offer to Sam's Club and Costco members. I know GM has a really good program that they run through Costco, and you do get those great discounts. What I will tell you also to do, I'll encourage you, do you have access to the internet?
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
yeah.
If you go to WAOK.com, and I have a link. It says AutoNSider. It's a picture of me. It says AutoNSider. Click on that link. If you go to last week's article, it'll be probably the second one down. Click on that article. I have links that will link you to incentives that are being offered by each manufacturer, so you can see what Honda, Toyota, Nissan, everybody had. You'll see what incentives are going on right now, what discounts are available to the public, and it's updated daily. So if you go there to last week's article, WAOK.com/AutoNSider, and it'll tell you what and incentives are already out there. But yes, Costco and Sam's Club do get a good discount. It's not the best discount that you can possibly get, but it is good. It's a great place to start.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Charles. Hey guys, we're up against the end, so we got to get these last two no's in, Kimberly.
Okay.
So you got to tell us the last two. We did no self, no friends,
Yes.
no numbers, no.
Know your needs. You need to know, do I need to fit 3 car seats in this car? And keep that in mind. Be mindful of that. Or do I actually need a smaller car? And don't be swayed to change.
And then the next one is no.
Know the product. Know its strengths and its weaknesses. So those can't be used against you in the negotiating process.
So go to places like AutoNSider. Go to speedbeautiful.com.
Yes,
go to
please.
Consumer Reports, all those places. Kimberly, tell listeners right before we go,
Yes.
where else can they find you? What you got coming up?
Okay, so coming up, we'll have a spread on the Hilton Head Motoring Festival that we did in Hilton Head. We drove a Lexus CT200 down there. We interviewed the head designer for Ford, Anthony Perozzi, and we'll be talking about his experience at Donna Karan and going to Ford. And we have a documentary brewing, and we interviewed Carolyn Venagel of the Hilton Head Motoring Festival. We have all these things happening right before Christmas. On the 24th, we'll be launching all 3 of those stories.
So guys, go to speedbeautiful.com, and if you can't find it, go to WAOK.com, click on the AutoNSider. All of her links are there. Hey guys, that's our one for the road. You ladies, follow a lady, follow me, and I'll tell you how to get there. This is the AutoNSider, News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
This is the Auto Insider with Daryl Killian on News and Talk 1380 WAOK.
WAOK Atlanta, WVEE HD3, News and Talk 1380, WAOK.